What's up, everybody? On today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about my health. You guys have been making a lot of comments on it. First thing I want you guys to know is that I am making efforts, believe it or not. I have been walking easily 10 miles a week. In fact, I just looked in the mirror and my legs are skinny like that, but then my belly's like this. It's like I almost look disfigured because I've been doing a lot of walking, as light cardio. And it's actually made my legs get really skinny, but I guess I have to work up my upper body too. But I've been working. Like, you guys like don't understand, like the lifestyle that we live is difficult. Like, we're on the road, and to sit down and eat something healthier takes a little bit more time than just grabbing something quick on the go. But we're gonna make the effort, and we have been making effort. Like, one of the things that frustrates me when I go through my comments, it's just seeing how everybody just assumes that I'm not making any effort at all. I am making efforts. I've been walking. In fact, the reason I got hurt with my blood pressure was really part of the reason was actually that I spent 2 days clearing an empty lot that I own, and I might have heat stroked a little bit or something, and it. But the problems that I'm having, I've had for about 2 years with stomach problems, mostly acid reflux. So I haven't been able to eat like the way you think I eat. And when I do go out and I eat something I'm not supposed to, it's because I make a little bit of progress. So every time I make a little bit of progress, I start feeling a little bit better, and then I go back to eating the stuff I'm not supposed to. But it's clearly starting to show that eventually some things are going to have to get phased out completely out of my diet. Like, I phased out pizza out of my diet completely. Probably hadn't had it once in the last 6 months. And then the last week, I had it twice. So that goes to show that you can lose control, Like, for 6 month, maybe 8 month period, I hadn't had pizza. And then, like, in the last week, I had pizza twice. So that was a mistake, and I'm paying for it. When you get to like your 30s and stuff, like if you're maybe in your 20s now, you don't realize when you get to your 30s, you're not gonna be able to eat the way you are, like burgers and pizza and all that. Like, you're gonna have to go eat grass basically, or die. And we have made some horrible health decisions. But it's not. I'm not as irresponsible as a lot of our subscribers would think. Like, I read some of the comments, and I'm not that irresponsible. Like, I am making efforts. Like, when I was in Alabama, I lost. You can also zoom in a little bit and that'll help. There you go. When I was in Alabama, I lost 32 pounds in Alabama, But I moved back to Florida, and it's so hot and unbearable that I haven't been able to exercise like the way I like to. And where I live in Lehigh Acres, there really are no options that are healthy. So when you live a lifestyle like I do, where you're out and about all the time, I don't really cook at home. And like, now we got a situation where, first, we're living in a duplex efficiency type of situation where we don't have a real kitchen, so we can't really cook the way we want to. Two, there's nothing in Lehigh that's healthy. Like, literally, if I want something healthy, we're running into Fort Myers, 35 minutes away. There's no Starbucks isn't even healthy, but there's no, like, you can get healthy stuff at Panera. There's no Panera like on the other side of Fort Myers. So like, we're living in a spot where everything that's there is bad, and your environment does affect a lot of people. No, your environment doesn't affect how you. Yes, it does. It does because, for example, you have parts of the world where there is no obesity because there's just people can't afford it. There's parts of the world where, just give you an idea, I lost 32 pounds in Alabama. What helped me lose that weight was the setting. I feel like if I were to move to like Chattanooga or like just somewhere colder, nicer, calmer weather, that I would probably end up losing like 30 pounds again, if not more, because I was on the track to losing a lot of weight because of the environment, There's healthier, more options more than anything. And I thought moving to Alabama would make my health worse because in Alabama, there's a lot more barbecue and stuff like that. But, in reality, I was able to lose weight because I was able to like eat more. There was just like, it was a more suburban setting where I had access to everything. So I was able to just pick and choose better things. Where like now where I live, it's a good drive. It's a good 35, 40 minute drive each way to get to like a place where I can get Panera, this, that, like if we're going out. And keep in mind, our lifestyle is going out. Like I said, I live in an efficiency. Like I can barely cook at home. So, your environment does play a role into that. But I am trying. I'm not as irresponsible as some of you guys would think. I do need to make some changes, and I do exercise. It's so frustrating to see all these comments. You don't exercise. You don't know how I live my life. I exercise. Me and Katie walk just about every single night. We're walking a mile together, and there's days where I walk up to 3 miles. So, like, I am making these changes. So a lot of my subscribers just think I'm not doing any. I am doing these changes. And like today, I got my blood pressure down to 120. So now I might feel like, I can go out and do whatever I want now, but it's not the case. Like, I got to keep it there, So I've been dealing with stomach acid problems. My dad has that, so it's probably from there. My dad has had bypasses, strokes, the whole thing. Like, he's got, I don't know how many bypasses, how many heart attacks, how many times he's been in the hospital. So I know that it's in my genetic, my DNA makeup, that this is probably the way it's going to go. And to be 32 years old, feeling heart pain is concerning to me. Like, I want to keep living my life, bro. I'm in Tallahassee right now. I can hop in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. Bro, I live a life that, like, it's not like I'm a millionaire, but I live a pretty cool life, I want to keep living. I want to keep, and I want to be healthy, because when you're not healthy, you can't enjoy your life, Like, you can't enjoy your life if you're not healthy. Like, I want to keep living. Like, I have a lot of great things to live for, so I'm not just going to throw my life away. And I read some of you guys' comments. I don't have any addictions. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Like, I'm not the most unhealthy person, but when it comes to food, there's like a trauma, I think, because when I was born in Cuba, like, I remember being like hungry, like literally hungry. And I was until I was like 6 years old. And when I came to the United States, my parents got me on vitamins, which is probably one of the worst things you could do to your kids. Like, if your kids are, you agree, Katie?
Well, one thing that really messed me up was they put me on the Pediasure.
Okay, there you go. So your kids, when they're like, let them grow up naturally, bro. Like, don't put your kids on vitamin. My parents stopped because when I came from Cuba, I was like skinny. I was malnourished. I was malnourished. You know what malnourished means? It means like you're too skinny. Like, people would look at me like, yo, that kid's 6 years old. He's supposed to be, like, so they looked at me and they're like, oh, he's 6 years. And I was malnourished. Like, I grew up in some of the hardest, like, I literally was like, not starving, but I was like, I was to the ribs and everything. So I was 6, 7 years old and I was malnourished. Like, if you looked at me, you'd be like, wow, that kid looks like he's 4, So, because I was born in Cuba and I was born in the 90s in Cuba, hardest starving. I mean, probably now it's starting to get in Cuba back like where it was when I was little. It's hard right now in Cuba, but it was hard when I was little. So that leaves a psychological trauma. Like, I remember other people were trying to like eat my food, or we used to eat paper, and like just like really bad stuff. Like, we were really hungry when it was depressing. So that leaves a psychological like drain on your brain where like every time you see food, you have to eat it. And like, you're almost like, I even had to deal with this with Katie where like I'm very possessive over food. Like, if she's eating, I'll try to take it. Or if I'm eating my food, I'm like a dog. You can't touch my food. And it's because when I was little, I was literally starving. I was malnourished. So when I come to the United States, my parents try to beef me up with all these vitamins and minerals and Pediasure, I don't know what the crap. And that actually did more damage because I went from being like skinny and malnourished to being overweight in like 3 years. Like, I went from a healthy, skinny, maybe malnourished, but like malnourished people lived and there's, I don't know, I could have, excuse me, I could have lived longer. But now, this shame process that my parents started was a problem because like I went from like being too skinny to being too fat in like 2 to 3 years. By the time I was like in third grade, I was already like overweight, and it was all because they beefed me up with all these, things because I was malnourished. And I think that was a huge mistake on my parents' part of, they had good intentions, of course, but it really wasn't. The outcome was that it turned me obese, and it wasn't even my nature to be that way. And I feel like in the United States, when you see all these little chubby American kids, you don't see that in other parts of the world. I think we're trying to do good to our family and children, but I think all those vitamins, and I don't take any of that stuff. Like, I don't take anything that I don't have to. And right now, I hate how much medicine I have to be on. I'm taking, what's the one, Pepsid?
Yeah.
And that's really helped with my acid reflux, but I hate it. Like, I don't like being on that. I've been trying to get off it. Every time I get off it just, because I don't like being on medicines. But anyways, at the end of the day, I am trying for my health, and it's a process. It's, one of the things that's helped me the most so far has been ginger gummies. So you can get those little ginger gummies. They're pretty good at helping stable things out. So there's medicine, there's exercise, and then there's lifestyle habits. But then there's also your DNA and your makeup. But part of that too is like how dedicated you are to what you're trying to do. And I understand, like, I like eating barbecue and this and that, but I like living more than that. You know what I mean? So like, I like living. I like my life, and I'm not gonna lose where I'm at now over not putting in effort. That's just, I can't do that. That's not who I am. I'm not a quitter. And while it's a huge challenge, and like I said, there's some type of psychological drama behind it. Like when I entered middle school, I didn't like the food. I grew up in Cuba. So I didn't like the pizza. I thought it was super spicy. Like, I couldn't touch the pizza. And in Kentucky, in school, you're getting, like, pizza. Like, you gotta understand, like, I went to a school that was, like, 90% African-American. So the food was spicy pizza, sloppy Joe, just a lot of very heavy American foods and a lot of barbecue type flavors and stuff that were, to me, even the pizza had that flavor, everything had that flavor. It's that Midwestern flavor that's okay to eat. Every time I hate it. I hate that Midwestern flavor. And like, I literally would not eat in school. Literally, I would not eat in school. Then even into like adolescence, like there's a time when I was like in middle school and high school where we were going through so much hardship here in the United States that if I didn't make the money, I didn't have money. I had to pay my lunch, and there was times like I used to sell bubble gum in high school to make my lunch money. So I would buy a packet of bubble gum, and it was like the 10-cent bubble gums where you got like for $1 you got 10, and then I would sell them and I'd get $4 if I could sell all 10 bubble gum packets, and that was enough for me to have my lunch. $4 was enough for lunch, but I couldn't sell all my kids wouldn't buy bubble gum in the morning for some reason. They would only buy bubble gum after lunch. So after lunch, I could sell them, but by then I couldn't eat unless I bought something after their period. So like, I wouldn't eat until later on in the day, even though I was hungry in the morning. But that's literally like all these hardships. That's why like obesity is more prevalent in the United States among poor people than rich people, because poor people really just get pushed around, and then you don't eat when you're supposed to, or you eat things you're not supposed to. And when you have a little bit more money, you're able to start making those selfish changes. And I feel like where I'm at now, I should be making those selfish changes without a problem from an economical aspect. So we're going to work towards that. But anyways, that's what it is. I am trying harder. I am walking, and I have been trying to make efforts, but there's a whole lot more to the picture than you see. Definitely not making excuses, but I hate to see these comments that like it's almost like I'm being bashed for not exercising. Like, I do exercise. You know what I mean? I do exercise. I hate not being able to exercise. In fact, it's not that I don't exercise. It's just a lot more complex than that. Check it out. I hope you guys liked the video, and yes, I am trying.